What if your destiny was chosen before birth? Not written in stone by fate, but selected by you, your soul, before it ever entered a body, before breath, before memory, before your first cry. In Yoruba spirituality, this is not a metaphor. It is a truth, a sacred agreement made in the realm of spirit, in Run, the invisible world that holds every soul's origin. And once born into Aye, the physical world, your journey becomes a mission to remember that choice, to walk with balance, and to live in alignment with the divine pattern you once knew. This is the essence of Yoruba spirituality, not a myth, not a legend, but a divine science. A vast, structured, deeply intelligent worldview, born in West Africa and preserved through generations. It is a cosmological blueprint that explains not only gods and the stars, but human nature, ethics, and the invisible threads that connect all things. In Yoruba thought, nothing is random. Everything flows with Ase, the sacred power to create, sustain, and transform. It is a force that moves through prayer, sacrifice, and intention, and it touches every part of life. At the center of this system is Ifa, the sacred method of divination through which destiny is read, realigned, and restored. Ifa is not fortune-telling. It is diagnosis, philosophy, poetry, and therapy. Through it, the Orishas speak, divine beings who govern both the elements of nature and the conditions of the human spirit. Orunmila, the custodian of Ifa, reveals the path. Eshu, the divine messenger, opens or blocks the road based on one's choices. Ogun rules the forge and the battlefield. Oshun dances through rivers, beauty, and love. Yamoja mothers the sea and the womb. These are not fictional deities. They are living forces, still honored today by millions. Despite centuries of enslavement, colonization, and erasure, Yoruba spirituality endured. It traveled across the Atlantic in the bodies and breath of those who refused to forget. In Cuba, it became Santeria. In Brazil, it flourished as Candomblé. In Haiti, it echoed through Vodou. Even now in New York, in Lagos, in Bahia, it continues, vibrant, defiant, alive. Not as nostalgia, but as relevance. Not as myth, but as medicine. Yoruba spirituality is the sacred that survived and still speaks. In the beginning, before the gods had names and the rivers had songs, there was Olodumare, the source of all creation, the supreme being, the breath behind existence. In Yoruba spirituality, Olodumare is not just a god. Olodumare is the God, the origin of all forces, all matter, all time. Yet this divine presence is not one that walks the earth in thunder or speaks in fire. Olodumare is vast, cosmic, infinite, so transcendent that the human tongue can barely grasp the meaning of such a name. Unlike many creator figures in other religions, Olodumare is not seen as a parent who watches over each detail or punishes every mistake. Olodumare is both intimately involved and eternally beyond, a silent power, a sacred order. At the core of Olodumare's creation is Ase, the divine force that animates everything. Ase is not merely power, it is the command that brings things into being, the energy that sustains all that is, and the permission that allows transformation to occur. It flows from Olodumare like sunlight from a hidden sun, saturating all things, the sky, the sea, the breath in your chest. Every Orisha operates through ash. Every prayer invokes it. Every act of creation, whether divine or human, is fueled by it. To speak with purpose, to move with intention, to pray with devotion. These are all ways of channeling Ase. And without Ase, nothing moves, nothing lives, nothing is. Yet despite this unimaginable power, Olodumare is rarely worshipped directly, not because the people do not honor the Creator, but because the Creator is too vast to approach casually. Olodumare is not reduced to form, image, or shrine. You cannot sculpt Olodumare in wood or metal. There are no statues, no temples with a central altar for the Supreme Being. Instead, the worship of Olodumare is woven into every other act of devotion. Acknowledged first in every ritual, named in every offering, and remembered in every invocation. When one prays to the Orisha, one is praying through them to Olodumare. When one asks for health, justice, love, or rain, it is understood that the final answer lies with the source from which all blessings flow. This subtle yet profound distance reminds practitioners of humility. You do not command Olodumare, you align with the order already set in motion. You do not plead for intervention from afar. You tune yourself to a harmony that was always present. The Orisha are like rivers flowing from a divine ocean. They are expressions of Olodumare's will, customized to the needs of creation. Through them, the infinite becomes accessible. Through them, the unreachable becomes near. And yet, all of it, every drumbeat, every offering, every divine whisper, leads back to Olodumare. To understand Yoruba spirituality is to understand that at its heart is not chaos but order, not fear but reverence. Olodumare is not just the maker of life. Olodumare is life itself, eternal, all-knowing, beyond form yet forming all things. It is the silence before the first word, the stillness before the first heartbeat. And though not worshipped with statues or songs, Olodumare is present in everything. The first name called, the last force remembered, the divine source that powers all paths. In the Yoruba vision of the universe, existence is not divided by heaven and earth in opposition, but interwoven through two inseparable realms, Orun and Aye. Orun is the invisible, spiritual dimension, the dwelling place of the Orisha, the ancestors and unborn souls. It is not a paradise of reward or punishment, but a space of pure essence, memory, and divine order. Aye, in contrast, is the visible material world, where humans live, struggle, build, love, suffer, and fulfill their destinies. But Aye is not fallen, nor is it profane. It is sacred clay, meant to be shaped by the wisdom of Orun. The two are not at odds. They are reflections of each other. Where Orun conceives, Aye manifests. Where Orun remembers, Aye forgets and rediscovers. Every human being is believed to originate in Orun. Before birth, the soul journeys to the presence of Olodumare to choose its Ori, the divine head, the personal destiny it will carry into the world. This choice is sacred and it binds the individual to a path known as Ayanmo. Some choose wealth, others choose peace, some choose a life of challenge or teaching. But whatever is chosen, it is not imposed. It is accepted. And then the soul is sent into Aye, wrapped in flesh, to walk the journey it once agreed to, though the memory of that agreement becomes distant, almost forgotten. Life, then, is the process of remembering. This is why interaction between Orun and Aye is constant and essential. They are not separate planes but overlapping dimensions. The veil is thin. Through dreams, ancestors whisper. Through rituals, the Orisha respond. Through Ifa divination, the voice of Orunmila, the witness to every destiny, speaks clearly. Practitioners perform rites not just for protection or blessing, but to realign with Orun, to return to the blueprint of one's soul. When life begins to drift into chaos, it is said the connection between Orun and Aye has weakened. Divination becomes the map back home. In daily life, the influence of Orun shows itself in the unexplainable, the intuition that arrives before a mistake, the déjà vu that feels like a message, the dream that refuses to fade with the morning light. These are not dismissed in Yoruba thought, they are taken seriously. They are the subtle voices of Orun, reminding the soul of its purpose. Likewise, ceremonies that honor the ancestors, offer food to the Orisha, or pour libations to the spirits, are not empty traditions. They are acts of spiritual maintenance, keeping the bridge between Orun and Aye strong and clear. To live fully in Aye, then, is not to forget Orun, but to remain in conversation with it. Every birth is a soul crossing the threshold. Every death is a return. The cycle never ends, only shifts form. Those who die with honor return to Orun as Egungun, the ancestors who guide and protect the living. And those who forget their path may wander Aye in confusion, until the divine hand reaches again through ritual, through dreams, through the wisdom of Ifa, and gently places them back on track. The Orisha are not distant gods sitting on unreachable thrones. They are not omnipotent judges who rule from on high. In Yoruba spirituality, the Orisha are divine intermediaries, sacred forces that bridge the human and the divine. They are the children of Olodumare, expressions of specific energies in the universe, each governing aspects of nature, human emotion, and destiny. They are not worshipped as distant deities, but honored as family, as guardians, as mirrors of our own potential. To understand the Orisha is to understand life itself, its joys, its chaos, its balance. They are not only spirits of rivers, thunder, and iron, they are also courage, seduction, wisdom, wrath, and compassion. They are alive in the world around us and alive within us. Each Orisha embodies a unique archetype, both elemental and emotional. They are forces of nature, but also patterns of human behavior. Their myths are not just stories, they are psychological maps, guiding the soul through growth, conflict, and transformation. And though there are many Orisha, over 400 known in the pantheon, certain figures stand at the center of Yoruba spiritual life, each one carrying a sacred domain, a color, a rhythm, a language of ritual and offering. Orunmila, the Orisha of wisdom and divination, is the witness to all destinies. He was present when every soul stood before Olodumare to choose its path. Because of this, he is the only Orisha who knows the full map of existence. Through him, the sacred system of Ifa was born, a divine library of knowledge, ethics, and destiny passed down through verses and symbols. Orunmila is not loud or showy. His power is quiet, precise, eternal. He is calm, patience, and deep understanding. His devotees often wear green and yellow, and his priests, the Babalawo, call upon him through the Okpele chain or sacred palm nuts to interpret the Odu Ifa. Every time someone seeks clarity, it is Orunmila who speaks. Beside him, but dancing at the edge of chaos, is Eshu, the trickster, the divine messenger, the gatekeeper between worlds. Misunderstood and maligned by colonial reinterpretation, Eshu is not evil. He is the force of choice and consequence, the one who delivers sacrifices and prayers to the Orisha. Without Eshu, no ritual is complete. He opens or closes the roads. He tests intention. He teaches through paradox. His symbols include the crossroads, and his colors are red and black. Eshu reminds humanity that every action has a reaction, every lie a shadow, every truth a cost. He is mischief and justice, disorder and alignment. You ignore him at your peril, and you revere him to stay aligned with fate. Ogun is raw power, the Orisha of iron, war, technology, and labor. He forged the path through the wilderness so civilization could rise. Every tool, weapon, machine, and piece of infrastructure carries his energy. Ogun is unyielding will, determination, and righteous rage. He is called upon by blacksmiths, soldiers, doctors, and workers. His sacred metal is iron, and his colors are green and black. Offerings to Ogun often include palm wine, dogs, or metal tools. He is not reckless, he is focused, decisive. And though he can destroy, he also protects. He clears the path not for glory, but for truth. Shango, the god of thunder, lightning, and fire, embodies charisma, leadership, and the ferocity of righteous power. He is the roar in the sky and the drumbeat in the chest. Shango is a warrior king, remembered both as a historical ruler and a divine spirit. He rules with strength, commands with charm, and acts with fierce justice. His followers often wear red and white. His emblems include the double-headed axe and the drum. Shango's worship is explosive and electrifying, full of dance, song, and drumming. He demands attention and respect, not out of arrogance, but because he carries the fire of divine command. To walk with Shango is to walk with courage and consequence. Then there is Oshun, the Orisha of freshwaters, love, beauty, sensuality, and diplomacy. She flows through rivers, through the laughter of women, through seduction and sweetness. But she is no mere gentle goddess. Oshun is powerful, cunning, and fiercely protective of what is hers. She brings healing and fertility, but can also bring drought if disrespected. Her devotees wear yellow or gold, and her offerings include honey, cinnamon, oranges, and sweet things. Oshun teaches the power of softness, the strength in emotion, the wisdom of grace. To love Oshun is to understand that true beauty flows from within and that pleasure is sacred. And finally, Yemoja, the mother of all waters. Vast, nurturing, and emotionally deep. She is the ocean, the womb, the protective embrace of motherhood. Yemoja governs family, fertility, and the tides of human feeling. Her presence is maternal, calming, and eternal. She is called upon during childbirth, crisis, or grief. Her colors are blue and silver, her waters the seas, her voice the lullaby that soothes pain. She reminds us of origin and return, of the sacredness of life and the inevitability of loss. Devotees pour libations to her by the shoreline, offering cowries, milk, and songs of devotion. She is the mother who never abandons, even when her children forget her name. Each Orisha is worshipped with specific rituals, songs, dances, and offerings. Their shrines may be simple or elaborate, but the relationship is always personal. One does not just believe in an Orisha, one enters into a relationship with them. They appear in dreams, respond in divination, and express themselves through the rhythm of drums and the movement of the body. They are honored through praise names, oriki, recited with poetry and music. Their worship is not only prayer but performance, a conversation between the seen and the unseen. To know the Orisha is to know oneself. Their stories are our stories of struggle, transformation, love, anger, purpose, and redemption. They live in us, and we live through them. In every thunderclap, every flowing river, every spark of courage or flash of intuition, the Orisha speak. They are not distant gods. They are alive. In the world, in the blood, in the breath. At the heart of Yoruba spirituality lies Ifa, not merely a tool, but a vast and living body of wisdom. Ifa is more than divination. It is a sacred science, a cosmic library of divine knowledge, ethical law, historical memory, and spiritual medicine. Through Ifa, the invisible becomes visible. The past and the future meet in the present. It is the voice of Orunmila, the Orisha of wisdom and destiny. speaking through symbols, proverbs, and parables to guide humanity back into alignment with the destiny chosen before birth. For those who walk the Yoruba path, Ifa is not an option, it is a necessity. It is how one stays awake in the world. The keepers of this sacred science are known as Babalawo, fathers of secrets, and Uyanifa, mothers of secrets, initiated priests and priestesses who dedicate their lives to mastering the vast body of knowledge that is Ifa. Their training takes years, sometimes decades, as they memorize hundreds of sacred texts, master complex rituals, and learn the precise movements of divination. They are not just spiritual guides. They are historians, psychologists, healers, and interpreters of the divine. When someone comes to them with confusion, illness, fear, or decision, the Babalawo or Ayanifa does not guess. They consult the sacred code. That code is found in the Odu Ifa, a compendium of 256 sacred verses or signs that form the foundation of all Yoruba divination. Each Odu is a world unto itself, filled with myths, ethical teachings, prescribed offerings, and cosmological instructions. They are not read like chapters in a book. They are accessed through ritual and castings, each session unique to the person and the moment. And within each Odu are stories of the Orisha, the ancestors and human souls, all echoing timeless patterns. Ifa does not tell the future like a fortune teller. It diagnoses the present, reveals hidden causes, and prescribes spiritual and moral remedies. It is a path of realignment, not prediction. The process of divination begins with the casting of either the okpele, a sacred divination chain, or ikin, consecrated palm nuts, depending on the depth and gravity of the consultation. Through a series of rhythmic motions and chants, the priest calls down Orunmila and invites divine presence. The way the items fall determines which Odu Ifa is revealed. Once the Odu is identified, the priest recites the corresponding verses, applying them to the seeker's situation with wisdom and precision. This isn't guesswork, it is a disciplined and sacred act of translation, from spirit to symbol, from story to solution. Each Odu contains layers of instruction. It may warn of coming danger, advise on relationships, identify spiritual causes of illness, or demand specific sacrifices to rebalance energy. It may highlight character flaws, pride, impatience, dishonesty that block one's destiny. It may reveal taboos the person must now follow, such as avoiding certain foods, colors, people, or behaviors. And when a prescription is given, often involving offerings to a specific Orisha or ancestral spirit, it must be done with sincerity, or the imbalance remains unresolved. Ifa does not simply tell what's wrong, it teaches what must be done to restore alignment with the soul's path. Central to all of this is the belief that every person has an Ori, or spiritual head, and that Ori is the most personal god of all. Ifa helps you understand your Ori's preferences, your soul's blueprint, and how to nourish it. This is not magic, it is spiritual diagnosis. Ifa does not remove struggle but clarifies it. It does not promise prosperity but teaches how to deserve it. It does not guarantee peace but shows how to create it through character, sacrifice, and attention to the sacred. In a world that is often loud, chaotic, and disconnected, Ifa remains a calm voice, whispering ancient truths, guiding the confused back to clarity, and reminding every soul that destiny is not a sentence, but a rhythm. When followed with humility, devotion, and honesty, Ifa becomes not just a system, but a way of life, one that heals, reveals, and transforms. In Yoruba spirituality, ritual alone is never enough. Offerings can be made, songs can be sung, and prayers can be chanted until the throat is dry. But if a person does not cultivate good character, all of it is hollow. The foundation of true spiritual practice is not found in how many times one kneels at an altar, but in how one walks through life. That foundation is called Iwa Pele, gentle character, righteous behavior, the embodiment of humility, patience, honesty, and compassion. It is the most sacred offering one can give to the Orisha, and without it, no destiny can fully unfold. Iwa Pele is not a performance. It is the soul made visible in daily life. To live with Iwa Pele means to resist arrogance even when you have power. It means to speak truth even when a lie would protect your pride. It means to practice patience when anger would feel more satisfying. The Yoruba teach that a person's character is their true wealth. Money may come and go. Beauty fades. Influence is fleeting. But a good character sustains a person through every season. It is not only a spiritual virtue, it is a social and ancestral responsibility. Your character honors your lineage. Your actions reflect your Ori. In the eyes of the Orisha, what matters most is not how loudly you pray, but how quietly you treat others when no one is watching. Orunmila, the Orisha of wisdom, is clear in his teachings. Spiritual knowledge without good character is like a river without water, empty and misleading. There are many who seek power without purification, who want to command the forces of nature without first mastering their own tempers and egos. Ifa warns against this again and again. The Odu Ifa are filled with verses reminding practitioners that true power flows only through integrity. To misuse ritual while neglecting character is to invite misfortune. The sacred does not bow to cleverness. It responds to sincerity. When a person walks with Iwa Pele, doors open naturally. Even in times of hardship, the ancestors protect them. The Orisha guide them, and their Ori stands strong. But when someone strays from this path, through greed, cruelty, deceit, their destiny becomes clouded. This is not punishment, but consequence. Just as fire burns regardless of who touches it, a lack of character burns the soul's journey. And when this happens, no offering, no chant, no charm can override the need for correction. One must return to the root, self-awareness, humility, and truth. This is why moral instruction is often the first and most important part of any Ifa consultation. Before the Babalawo prescribes a ritual or sacrifice, they often counsel the seeker on their behavior. Are you patient? Are you honest? Have you kept your word? Have you treated others with respect? The answers to these questions often determine whether the spiritual imbalance can be resolved. Because Yoruba spirituality teaches that the world responds not just to what we do, but to who we are becoming. In the end, Iwa Pele is not a destination, but a daily practice. It is choosing kindness when insulted, choosing wisdom when tempted, choosing stillness when provoked. It is how one honors Olodumare, respects the Orisha, and fulfills their destiny in Aye. And though it requires discipline, it offers peace. For the person who walks with good character, walks in rhythm with the universe. They become a vessel of Ase, not just through their rituals, but through their very way of being. In Yoruba spirituality, initiation is not a formality. It is a transformation, a spiritual death and rebirth, a reintroduction to the self behind the mask of the everyday. Initiation is how one deepens their relationship with the divine, aligns more fully with their Ori, and assumes their place within a sacred lineage that stretches back to the beginning of time. It is not entered lightly. It is a covenant, a vow, a crossing of thresholds. Those who are initiated do not simply learn more about the tradition. They become living extensions of it. They carry its songs, its secrets, its energy. And with that comes great responsibility. There are many paths of initiation, each with its own rituals, disciplines, and duties. One of the most profound is the initiation into Ifa, where a person becomes a Babalawo or Ayanifa, a priest or priestess of Orunmila, the Orisha of wisdom and destiny. These individuals are trained to divine using the opal chain and Ikin palm nuts to memorize and interpret the 256 sacred Odu Ifa and to provide spiritual guidance to others. They are not simply readers of fate, they are healers, moral teachers, and keepers of cosmic balance. Their initiation often involves seclusion, ritual purification, and sacred naming, marking their rebirth as servants of divine wisdom. Another path is initiation into a specific Orisha priesthood. A devotee may feel called or be revealed through divination to serve a particular Orisha such as Ocean, Ogun, Yamoja, or Shango. In these initiations, the devotee undergoes a series of intense rituals: sacred bathing, head cleansing, offering ceremonies, days of silence or seclusion, and symbolic rebirth. They receive sacred objects, songs, colors, and spiritual tools unique to that Orisha. From that point forward, their life becomes intertwined with the energy of the deity. They speak for the Orisha. They act on their behalf. They become, in a sense, walking temples. A third path of initiation exists through Egungun, the ancestral cults that honor the spirits of the dead. In these lineages, the focus is on communion with the ancestors, on maintaining the memory, wisdom, and protection of those who came before. Egungun masquerades, where masked dancers embody ancestral spirits, are both sacred performance and invocation. Those initiated into this lineage act as bridges between the living and the dead, ensuring that the wisdom of the past continues to guide the present. Across all these forms, certain elements remain consistent. Ritual bathing symbolizes purification. Seclusion marks the departure from the old life. Sacred vows bind the initiate to their spiritual responsibilities. And the moment of rebirth, when the initiate emerges anew, is celebrated with songs, prayers, and blessings. From that point on, the initiate is not merely a believer. They are a guardian, a vessel of tradition, a protector of a legacy older than writing, older than empires. The priesthood in Yoruba spirituality is not elitist, it is service. Priests and priestesses are expected to lead with humility, uphold Iwa Pele, and continuously study the spiritual disciplines entrusted to them. Their role is not only to perform rituals, but to teach, to counsel, to protect the sacred order of the community. They are walking embodiments of Ase, channels through which the divine flows into the world. And as long as they honor that role with integrity, the lineage remains unbroken. In Yoruba spirituality, death is not an end. It is a transition, a movement from the visible to the invisible, from Aye to Orun. The ancestors, known as Egungun, are not remembered with sorrow or fear. They are revered as elders who have simply stepped behind the veil. They are still present, still active, still watching over the living. To the Yoruba, the dead are not gone. They are transformed. They become guardians, advisors, protectors of the family line, and intercessors between humans and the divine. Their wisdom lingers in the blood, their strength in the bones. To honor them is not superstition. It is spiritual continuity. The Egungun are honored through a rich system of lineage worship, a living tradition where family lines keep the memory of their ancestors alive through ritual, offering, and celebration. Each family may have its own shrine, a place where food, drink, and prayer are offered, especially on anniversaries of death or during significant life events. The ancestors are consulted in matters of health, marriage, and conflict, Their approval is sought. Their guidance is trusted. They speak not through thunder but through signs. A sudden dream, an unusual occurrence, a whispered intuition that seems to come from nowhere. These are not dismissed. They are received with reverence. One of the most vibrant expressions of this reverence is the Egungun masquerade, a sacred performance where masked dancers become vessels for ancestral spirits. Covered from head to toe in elaborately adorned garments, they move with power and mystery, each gesture guided by the spirit they embody. The community gathers in festival, not to mourn but to celebrate. Drums thunder, praise names are called, and the air becomes charged with the presence of the unseen. The Egungun bless, advise, and in some cases, correct the living. These masquerades are not theater, they are portals, sacred openings where past and present dance together. To neglect the ancestors is to forget where one comes from. To honor them is to remain in alignment with the river of life. The Yoruba believe that the strength of a person is rooted in the strength of their lineage. You are never alone. You are the continuation of many. And when the world becomes confusing, when guidance is needed, the Egungun are always near, waiting for the living to remember, to ask, and to listen. The journey of Yoruba spirituality did not end with colonization or the transatlantic slave trade. It crossed oceans in chains, hidden in songs, remembered in prayers, and guarded in silence. When enslaved Africans were torn from their homelands and scattered across the Americas, they brought their gods with them. Not always in names, but in rhythm, in gesture, in the quiet conviction that the divine could never be erased. Across Cuba, Brazil, Haiti, Trinidad, and the United States, Yoruba spirituality survived. It adapted, it disguised itself, it changed shape, but it never died. In Cuba, Yoruba tradition fused with Catholicism. Tom became Santeria, also known as La Regla de Ocha. The Orisha were syncretized with Catholic saints, allowing enslaved practitioners to mask their worship in plain sight. Oshun was honored through Our Lady of Charity. Shango became associated with Saint Barbara. Behind the image of the saints, the drum still spoke to the Orisha. Ceremonies were held in secret, and the sacred language of Lukumi, derived from Yoruba, preserved ancient prayers and songs. To this day, Santeria remains a powerful spiritual force in Cuban communities around the world. In Brazil, the Yoruba tradition gave rise to candomblé, a vibrant religion with temples called terreiros and rich ritual dances where devotees become possessed by the Orisha. Known as Orishas in Portuguese, these deities are honored through elaborate offerings, trance possession, and sacred music. In Haiti, Yoruba influence helped shape Vodou, blending with Fon and Congo traditions and Catholic iconography. Though often misunderstood, Vodou remains deeply rooted in ancestral wisdom, Orisha-like spirits called Loa, and a cosmology that echoes Yoruba beliefs. The survival of these traditions was not accidental. It was an act of resistance. Slavery attempted to erase language, belief, and identity, but Yoruba spirituality proved resilient. Drums, once outlawed for their ability to speak, continued to beat. Divination persisted in secret, using shells, cards, or bones. Rituals adapted, masked by colonial religions, but preserved in essence. The Orisha remained in the hearts of those who remembered, those who dreamed, those who refused to forget. Today, there is a growing reconnection among diasporic Africans seeking their spiritual roots. They travel back to Nigeria, study Ifa, undergo initiation, and reclaim a birthright once stripped away. This is not nostalgia. It is spiritual reclamation. A global renaissance of Yoruba spirituality is unfolding across borders and languages, reminding us that the sacred can be broken open but never broken apart. It lives wherever it is remembered. In Yoruba spirituality, the universe is not silent. It vibrates with power, with rhythm, with intention. At the center of this living cosmos is Ase, the invisible energy that animates all existence. Ase is more than just spiritual power. It is the divine current flowing through everything, through words, through movement, through thought and sound. It is the force that makes things happen, the breath behind creation, the reason prayer works and ritual matters. Every time someone speaks, acts, sings, offers, or even thinks with focused intention, they are summoning Ase. It is in the heartbeat of the drummer, the breath of the priest, the silence before a decision. It is divine will in motion. Ase is not limited to the gods. It is not locked away in the heavens. It lives in humans too, especially in those who understand how to use it with balance and respect. When elders speak, their words are charged with Ase. When a mother blesses her child, she gives more than love. She gives power. When a babalawo speaks the Odu, the verse is not just heard, it is released into the world. Ase does not wait for dramatic rituals. It is active in every choice, every intention, every sincere offering of the heart. It is why speech is sacred. It is why silence too is powerful. To live with Ase is to live in alignment, to understand that everything carries consequence and energy. A careless word can wound. A sincere blessing can heal. A promise kept generates Ase. A lie depletes it. One cannot be spiritually powerful and ethically hollow. The two are linked. Ase is not blind energy. It responds to integrity. When we speak truth, act with kindness, and carry humility, we amplify Ase within ourselves. When we harm, deceive, or manipulate, we diminish it. The Yoruba teach that even nature listens. Even the wind carries our words. Ase turns intention into reality, for good or for harm. Every prayer ends with Ase, not as a wish, but as a declaration. May it be so, may it have power, may it come to pass. This single word seals rituals, closes blessings, and aligns the heart with the divine. It is the bridge between desire and manifestation, and to walk with Ase is to walk with awareness. To know that the universe is listening, that our lives matter, and that each of us carries the ability to shape the world through our choices, our character, and our voice. Yoruba spirituality is not just a religion. It is a living map of the soul, a divine architecture that connects heaven and earth, body and spirit, ancestry and destiny. It is one of the few spiritual systems in the world that does not ask you to believe blindly, but to remember who you are, where you come from, and why you came. Every part of this tradition is layered with meaning, from the silent wisdom of Olodumare to the vibrant presence of the Orisha, from the measured voice of Ifa to the thundering steps of the Egungun. It is not a system of domination, but of dialogue, not a path of fear, but one of responsibility, alignment, and beauty. This journey has taken us through the structure of the cosmos, through Orun and Aye, through the sacred technology of Ifa and the living energy of the Orisha. We have seen that character, not ritual alone, is the true doorway to spiritual elevation. That power, without Iwa Pele, is empty, and that the ancestors walk beside us still, guiding those who remember how to listen. We have traced the threads of Yoruba spirituality across oceans and into new lands, where it has blossomed again in resistance, in culture, and in prayer. And we have honored Ase, the pulse of divine energy in all things, the power that makes intention real. But this is more than history. It is more than philosophy. It is a call to live with purpose, a call to listen deeply, to learn humbly, and to walk in the world with iwa pele, with good character, with patience, with integrity. Because the spirit world is not far away. It lives in the choices we make, the words we speak, and the compassion we show. To follow the Yoruba path is to align with what was chosen before birth. To fulfill a destiny, not through force, but through harmony. So as you carry these teachings forward, remember that you are part of something ancient and alive. You are not lost. You are not alone. Your Ori remembers. Your ancestors watch. Your path awaits. May your steps be steady, your character gentle, your soul in alignment with your highest self. May you be guided. May you be protected. May you be fulfilled. Ase.